Joining us today, we have Roopa Vasudevan, who is a digital artist and an educator, as well as Atif, who is a visual artist and an interactive designer. They're here with us to talk about their latest project, which is a multimedia installation called Hands Up. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, thanks for having us here.
It's our pleasure. So before we start talking about Hands Up, Roopa, tell me a little bit about yourself, especially as it relates to your background as a digital artist and an educator.
Well, my background is in television, and Atif and I actually met in graduate school. We went to the Interactive Telecommunications program at NYU. And at ITP, I kind of leaned more into the programming end of things. I learned how to program. I really fell in love with it. And since then, I've been kind of working as an artist, creating installations that kind of take data coming in, the data trails that we leave online and off, media, language, photos, videos, audio, anything like that, and kind of using algorithms to reshape it into a form that more explicitly calls attention to its impact. So basically what I want to do is I want to look at all of the ways that we are socialized to behave and the ways that we are thought is normal, the way we think are normal to behave, the way that we just behave on a day-to-day basis. Mm-hmm. And I want to apply technology to it and see if I can uncover any patterns or any influences or anything that these norms might be doing or impacts that might be having that we might not have thought about before.
Sure. So you're basically talking about uncovering patterns in the way we think and act in society. Can you perhaps expand on that and give us an example so our viewers out there have a better idea?
So my thesis project for ITP was a project called Hate Couture. Mm-hmm. And what I did was I spent a week gathering hateful language on the internet directed at specific demographics. So I used slurs that are commonly directed towards the African American community, women, the LGBTQ community, and Muslims and Muslim Americans. Right. And I took those slurs and I kind of analyzed the language that was surrounding them in these places that I was pulling from. I focused my search on Twitter, Reddit, and YouTube. Mm-hmm. And I ranked each instance of hate speech on a scale from least hateful to most explicitly hateful. And the least hateful usages were basically usages that were completely out of context or benign or trying to be educational and using the word in an educational context about why you shouldn't be using that word or something like that. All the way through to the more explicitly hateful usages that are very clearly meant to be derogatory or violent or just very anti that community. What I did was that those scores that were then given, ranking that on a scale, were translated into a color pattern. Mm-hmm. I printed it on fabric, and I worked with fashion designers from the groups that were being attacked to create clothing out of all of that fabric. And what this ended up doing was it ended up humanizing all of this data that I had spent time collecting that you wouldn't have really thought about as attacking specific people, because the internet has a tendency to distance ourselves from other people that we are communicating with online. We don't necessarily think of them beyond words that are appearing on a screen. Sure. My goal with this project was to kind of take that information and humanize it and put it actually on a person's body to remind viewers that this is something that is affecting other people in the world. We don't just exist in a vacuum. We have these connections to all of these other people on the planet who might be affected by the things that we're saying.
Sure. And you had people wear these garments and walk around the city, right?
I did, yes.
Yeah, how did people react to that?
For the most part, people really, I think, couldn't really get over how outlandish the clothing was because of the amount of fabric that was printed. We used all.
Watch the remaining show on ITV Gold. Subscribe to ITV Gold on Time Warner Cable Channel 1539. ITV Gold is America's first full-time television channel that caters to the South Asian community. Your favorite dramas with English subtitles. Watch movies, back-to-back songs, award-winning local news coverage, and much more. Subscribe to ITV Gold on Time Warner Cable Channel 1539, part of the 8-channel combo pack for $39.95. And our East Coast viewers can also subscribe to ITV on RCN Channel 476 and Cablevision on Channel 1168.